The news starts now.
I mean, we always look forward to going to her house because she could cook.
She cooks great jalapeno corn.
The cornbread to the collard greens.
Mashed potatoes, green beans.
She puts a lot of love into everything she cooks, and I think when you do that, you can taste it in the food.
A fierce pioneer with a soft side. The Lady Vol family remembering their hero, Pat Summitt. Her brave battle with Alzheimer's disease and the way she turned her pain into healing. Plus,
and Pat Summitt's memorial continues to grow here on campus. Coming up, we're going to talk to those who knew her best, including the person who took over as head coach after that diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's.
good morning and thanks so much for joining us. We're glad you're here on this Wednesday. I'm Abby Ham. Russell Bivens is off this week. We have a lot to get to, a lot of amazing stories on Pat Summitt. But first, we're going to check the forecast with Matt Sanderson. We're talking about the week ahead. We're midweek now. It's cooling off a bit, but then it's going to heat up, and we're talking about possible rain showers coming later this week.
Yeah, possible rain showers, possible thunder showers in the area, and maybe even some thunderstorms are a little bit stronger as we head toward the weekend. So heads up if you're camping this weekend. I know a lot of folks trying to get the tents ready, get the gear ready to head out and about for a big weekend and try to set things up before the weekend arrives. If you're doing that, just watch the weather because there will be a chance for pop-up showers and thunderstorms on Saturday and Sunday. At least for today, we're starting off dry, and we're going to hold that dry weather for the most part for the next few days. Mid-60s to near 70 first thing at the door, and boy, it feels a lot better than it has the last few days. It's not where we want it to be humidity-wise, but again, it's better than it has been, and that's a far cry from being muggy and just soupy outside. Upper 70s to low 80s by noon, mid to upper 80s this afternoon, with overall a beautiful day. Plenty of sunshine for today, an AB day on the way for your Thursday. And then we start talking about chances of rainfall working their way back in the forecast. More on that coming up here in just a few. Abby.
Thank you, Matt. 8 national championships, more than 1,000 winning games, and 38 seasons as the head coach of the Lady Vols. Pat Summitt's storied career in athletics is only matched by her brave and public battle against early onset dementia. She passed away yesterday morning at the age of 64. Summitt was the first coach, men's or women's, to reach 1,000 wins, and each of the 161 players she coached had at least one chance to play in the Final Four. When Summitt retired, she celebrated a 100% graduation rate among players who finished their eligibility at Tennessee. Her impact in East Tennessee is being honored this morning in a big way. WBIR 10 News reporter Katie Roach is live at her statue in downtown Knoxville, where people paid their respects throughout the day yesterday, and boy, has that memorial grown, Katie.
It sure has. Good morning to you, Abby. This memorial started out so small yesterday morning, but as that news spread, it grew and it grew and it grew. And if you take a look, we're not only seeing flowers, there's also candles, teddy bears. There's even a basketball net over there, letters to Pat Summitt, t-shirts, so many ways that they are honoring Pat Summitt and also showing support to her family and to those who knew her best. Now, 53 people showed up to watch Summitt's first game as Tennessee coach. That was all the way back in 1974. But by 1998, the Lady Vols name was known nationwide. That year, Summitt was the first female coach to be featured on a Sports Illustrated cover. In August of 2011, she announced her diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's disease. It was a day we all remember here in East Tennessee. Now, Coach Harley Warlick says her example changed the face of athletics and also gave those fighting Alzheimer's new hope.
I think there's no question. There is good that has come out of Pat getting dementia, and that is bringing awareness. And any cause that it's out there, it's about awareness. And that's how you raise money, and that's how Pat was.
And Warlick says Summitt came to as many games as possible, even after her Alzheimer's diagnosis, always supporting the Lady Vols basketball team. A private funeral service and burial for the family will take place in Middle Tennessee. And here in Knoxville, there's going to be a huge celebration of life. It's going to be at one of her favorite places, Thompson Bowling Arena. That's set for July 14th at 7 p.m. So you are going to have a chance to continue to pay your respects to Pat Summitt, as so many have come here to this memorial and done so in the past day. And Abby, you can bet this memorial will continue to grow today. Back to you.
You know it will. She meant so much to this community. Katie, she deserves a big memorial, that's for sure. Well, 5 years ago, at the age of 59, Summitt was diagnosed with early onset dementia, Alzheimer's type. Early onset means a person shows symptoms before the age of 65. Alzheimer's is a degenerative disease that physically damages the brain. That causes a person to lose memories and eventually lose their ability to perform some of the simplest tasks, like swallowing or coughing. Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S., according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. The same year Summitt was diagnosed with the disease, her family established the Pat Summitt Foundation to raise money for research. Alzheimer's Tennessee also launched the We Back Pat campaign that spread across the nation. And in December, the Pat Summitt Alzheimer's Clinic is set to open at the University of Tennessee Medical Center. A spokesperson for Alzheimer's Tennessee says the legendary coach gave courage to the millions of Americans fighting this disease.
Our phone rang with people saying, if Pat can talk about this, now I can talk about this. It really gave a lot of people that same courage and that same power, whether they were worried about themselves or whether they were worried about loved ones.
If you would like to donate to the Pat Summitt Foundation, we have a link at WBIR.com. It is 6:06 now on your Wednesday morning. Still to come here on 10 News Today.
Without Pat Summitt, you wouldn't have the excellence that you have in all the women's sports today.
Pat Summitt's legendary career honored. The local lawmakers pushing for a resolution to recognize her legacy, plus President Obama's tribute as well.
And potential rainfall will be there for the next few days in the region, but will it make its way to your backyard? We'll talk about that in just a few moments. Stay with us.